Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Generational Beef Podcast. I'm your host, Tristan Terrell, as well as my dad.
Noel Terrell, Generational Beef.
The Beef!
The
We
Beef.
had a bit of an irregular schedule recently. 3 weeks ago, we had 2 episodes. The week after that, we had none. Last week, we recorded on Tuesday, but I didn't get it out till Saturday. I had a very, very busy week. And this week, we're not getting out till Thursday to you. But we should hopefully be getting back on a relatively normal schedule soon. Had a lot going on. But we're going to just briefly touch on our one little bit of NFL news and then get into the NBA playoffs, which have really continued to heat up. So, the NFL news. Obviously, today we've got the Devon Achane extension, as well as Breece Hall a few days ago that kind of set the tone for that as well. But we've got the Devon Achane extension, 4 years, $68 million. That's a $17 million average annual value. I'm sure it won't become that simple. It'll be, more front-loaded or back-loaded or who knows. But $17 million average annual value for 4 years for Devon Achane and the Miami Dolphins.
Look, I've been very clear on this since the season ended. I felt like we needed to blow the team up. But I also said there were two pieces of this team I did not want to see go anywhere. That was Achane and that was Chop Robinson, right? Two young pieces on both sides of the ball that you can build around. Achane has proven his worth. He's still really young. And so I like this signing. I mean, you got to have a guy. You look at the rookie contracts now. I don't know if you saw this. I actually saw this before. Saw this yesterday, the day before, and it was comparing the rookie contract for Love to what Achane's made, and of course put up Achane's numbers, right? This isn't honestly that much more than Love's going to be making a year on his rookie deal, right? And he hasn't even touched the ball in the NFL. Achane's proven he's been durable. I like it. I think if you're gonna kind of go
Achane
with
missed half of his rookie season and then missed several games his second season and had one really healthy season his third year, but not durable.
I'm just saying. I don't know that that's not true, but I just think that I like the signing. You got to have a good running back in this league, especially when you have a defensive-minded coach. It's important. And you add Malik to that. I like the signing. Like I said, I've been very clear on this since the season ended. The two pieces of the puzzle I didn't want to see go anywhere were Chop, who I think had a really good rookie year, and Achane. And so I'm fine with it. I like it.
Well, so here's my concern. My concern here is to what you were alluding to. You're right. Prior to Breece and Achane getting their extensions, well, actually, Breece was on the tag, so it was even including Breece. But prior to Achane getting his extension, based on an average annual value, Love was going to be the, I think, 5th or 6th highest paid running back in the league. And considering that an entire rookie contract is guaranteed, it was the most guaranteed money that any running back has ever received in NFL history. That is true. However,
I will tell you one other thing on that real quick. This is because of this, I think this actually hurts running backs in the future.
absolutely,
I think
agree.
people just aren't going to draft them that high.
Well, duh. That's what I was getting to. It doesn't. Yeah. That is not even remotely close to a reason to prop up the value of Devon Achane and say, oh, this is a good contract because look what Jeremiah Love is making. No. This is completely the reason to say why Jeremiah Love was a bad draft pick. Not because Jeremiah Love, the player, is a bad player. He's going to be a good player, right? Probably not for the Cardinals because they're not a good team, right? But it's going to be a bad draft pick for the Cardinals because they don't have the infrastructure in place to allow him to be good. And even if they did, he has to immediately be a top 5 to 7 running back in the league for his contract's value to be, valued at properly.
Right. It's the same thing we saw with Genty last year, right? I mean,
but even then, like the difference,
I think Genty's going to be great too.
The difference in the 3rd overall pick money and the 7th or whatever it was that Genty went is still significant, right? Like, obviously, Genty's still on a big contract. He is in the higher half of running backs paid currently, but it's still not what Jeremiah Love is making. the concern here, like you said, is it means that running backs aren't going to go as high. Absolutely, I agree
I
with
think it
that.
does hurt them in future drafts for
Yeah,
sure.
and it definitely doesn't prop up the
The only
value
reason
on the
the
open
only time
market.
it wouldn't the only time it wouldn't is if you had a team that was missing that one piece, but then that means they had to have traded up. And I don't see, because then you're doubling down on that value. You're saying, not only am I going to pay this way higher than I could get him if I got him late first, right?
Yeah,
I'm also
yeah,
going to give up picks to get that spot. Uh, yeah, I think it
yeah,
hurts
but
running backs,
especially
not
because
long run in their career, but from a draft, their original
especially
contract.
because in the idea of looking at this, right, if you're talking about him being the third overall pick or whatever, and saying, oh, he's going to go make $13 million, right, would you rather pay him $13 million by drafting him there, or draft somebody else and then go pay Derrick Henry 16? You know what I mean? And so it's like, because you can get him for close to that, you know what I mean? And so, and not necessarily Derrick Henry because he is way older, but I'm saying, like, had Devon Achane hit the open market, maybe Devon Achane, and you go pay him 15, 16, 17, right? He got 17
Oh
a year
no,
from.
if I were them, I'd rather have him than Love because he's a proven quantity.
I,
But
I mean, I think I disagree. I do believe that Jeremiah Love is long term going to be a better player. Probably never for the Cardinals because the Cardinals are trash. But again, it then
it's not
becomes
even about
this.
the Cardinals being trash
I mean,
as
it is
much as it is
partially.
how loaded that division also is.
I mean, sure, but the Cardinals are also a bad roster. I mean, they just are.
Right. It's the same problem that we have right now.
Well,
I
and
don't know
so
that anything we do right now is going to result in a playoff spot, given that you still got Buffalo who got better
that
and of course the Patriots. Although I'm hoping all that off the field crap actually bothers them in some way sometime this year. But
that was going to be my biggest deduction from this signing, is that ultimately I don't like it, right? And it's also for the same reason that I was kind of hesitant on Malik Willis, but different, right? I was hesitant on Malik Willis because we don't have anything, so I don't think it's going to matter, right? However, on the upside, you're only paying him like $22 million a year, which for a starting quarterback, if he's really good, is a steal, right? Even if he's just average, it's a pretty good contract, right?
yeah, and
Um,
here's the thing.
but
Here's the
but hold
thing.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. The issue here is I still don't think it's going to matter because we don't have enough around these guys. And on top of that, it's the opposite thing of Malik Willis is of like, oh, you're paying, like, I think Saquon's contract on a yearly is like higher, but it's going to be up in like a year, I think, because he was making like 20 a year. But other than that, you're paying like the highest contract for a running back ever, basically. So if it doesn't work, like, not to say he won't work, right? But as a team success, if it doesn't work, then it's like, it's not the same as Malik, where you're like, oh, he's on a steal of a contract. Like, no, 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 no. You're paying him like the biggest contract for his position ever, and it's still not going to
Yeah.
work.
So
So
here's the
I
thing.
just don't like it.
There is an unknown quantity, and I think maybe it's too early to say good or bad. And here's the unknown quantity. And since we started doing this podcast, what, in January,
Yeah.
maybe whatever,
Yeah.
um, I've been very clear about one thing, and it's been proven very true the last 2 or 3 seasons, especially, which is, and this is the unknown quantity, right? If you get coach right, you really can turn a franchise around immediately. We've seen it. You even with big dead cap hits. Now we're setting a record there, right? But you look at Russell Wilson and now what Denver is. You look at what Cohen did by moving to Jacksonville in one freaking year. You looked at what Ben Johnson has done in Chicago at this point, and that's only going to get better. You see what happened in Seattle. When you get coach right, and I get some of those rosters are better than the Dolphins, obviously. I'm
All of
not
them.
arguing
All of
that.
them.
I'm not arguing that.
By
But
a
what I am
margin.
saying is you can be significantly better just by having the right coach in the building. It matters at the end. Look, here's the thing. When you have, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but to make a point. When you talk about OU playing their out of conference schedule, right? This year, opening up against the Lobos in Norman, right? They're going to win that game by 50, even if Venables sucks as a coach, because they can out athlete you all day long, right? That doesn't work in the SEC, but it works against non-conference opponents that are in lesser divisions. In the NFL, everyone has stud athletes. They may not be great at their positions, but they're stud athletes. Coaching matters more at the NFL level than it does at the coaching or at the college level.
Well,
Just
college college level
let me
coaching
hold on.
outside of recruiting doesn't
Being
matter until you're having OU play Texas, Bama, and Georgia.
sure,
Like
when you're playing those guys, coaching matters a lot.
even when
It
you're
doesn't
playing
matter when you're playing a
Arkansas and
lesser opponent.
Kentucky, it doesn't matter.
Right, right. But my point is when you're playing a lesser opponent, it doesn't matter.
I
In
know.
the NFL, it still does.
No, always. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is if you get coached right in the NFL, and this is relatively unique to the NFL, you can turn it around immediately if you know what you're doing. I'm not saying you're going to go out and win the Super Bowl. I'm not even saying necessarily you'll be a playoff team, but you got to figure with everything that's occurred and the dead cap hit for Miami, if Miami gets to 8 or 9 wins, it's a huge successful year.
Yes, agreed. But in the grand scheme of things, if they get to 8 or 9 wins, you're still missing the playoffs. And then at that point, I don't know, because of still the dead cap and stuff, how much you're going to improve necessarily. And so what does success look like? Like, is for this team a successful season, 8 or 9 wins is very successful. Agreed, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you're still missing the playoffs, and that's still probably true for the foreseeable future. What does success ultimately look like? Like over the 4-year lifespan of this Devon Achane extension,
but again,
is our peak one season of 10 wins, and do you measure that as success?
I don't
now,
know,
compared to the Dolphins' history, yes,
right.
that's successful.
But
kind
there's
of.
other variables.
But like,
there's other variables in this case, though. One variable is I'm not convinced that the Bills got better at coach. Their roster got a little
I don't know
better.
that they did, but they have Lamar Jackson, and they got him a receiver, and they've got James Cook. I don't care. They're gonna be 12. They're gonna win 12 games.
I didn't hear about that blockbuster trade, but you said Lamar
Huh?
Jackson. You said Lamar Jackson.
I'm an idiot. I meant Josh
I
Allen,
know what
and
you
they
meant.
got
I'm
him a
just being
receiver.
I know what you meant.
And they got James
the
Cook.
roster got better. The roster got better. I'm not.
So I don't know
agree
that
with
it
you.
matters that whether or not they got better at coach.
We just had an argument that coaching matters in the NFL.
Coaching does matter, but when you have Josh Allen, it gives you a major floor.
Yeah, but if your coach isn't good, we know what
we know for sure
untethered Josh can look like. He'll make brilliant plays and bad plays.
But we know for sure offensively he's fine because he was already their OC. So
understood.
And the offense wasn't the problem.
My point is, I don't know if they got better. We'll see. Right? McDermott had a lot of success there, and no one had in a very long time.
Agreed. But now that it's happened,
this whole thing with the Patriots right now, it may not matter at all.
I think it probably does matter long term in terms of going on a run, but in terms of the regular season, I don't know that it does.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think it's early to say.
I think that both of those teams have franchise quarterbacks, one of which currently tentatively I would put it number 1 in the league. It's close, but number 1, and the other one I'm putting it like 6, probably. So like, they're phenomenal.
We've had this debate. It's too early to say that to rank Josh or Drake May that high.
I don't think so.
I understand what his numbers look like during the regular season. I understand what his numbers look like during the regular season.
It was his first postseason. It happens.
It's more than that. They had the easiest schedule in the league last year. That's just a fact. It just is.
Every year, though, somebody has the easiest schedule in the league, and it doesn't necessarily put up MVP level numbers.
They're very well coached. I think he's a really good quarterback. But when you put him up against the best teams in the league last year, when it mattered, he was terrible.
Again, it was also his first playoff appearance ever. So
it wasn't that he dropped off. He was bad.
Agreed. Yeah.
Bad.
Agreed. But again, I put it more on lack of playoff experience than I do the competition. I think the competition is overblown.
Yeah, but if that's the case, you're talking about the difference between him and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't have that problem the first time he went to the playoffs. So that's the difference between him and Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't do that.
But Tom Brady had a stacked roster. That roster was by no means stacked.
It was stacked. It was stacked defensively.
It was a good defense. It wasn't even a top 3 or 4 defense in the league.
My point being that we can make the excuse about the first playoff run, yada yada yada. Typically speaking, when you see people play that bad in the playoffs, that's kind of how their career goes.
I mean, Sam Darnold just won.
There are exceptions. Manning finally got out of that slump, right? There are exceptions. But most guys that are bad in the playoffs just end up being bad in the playoffs.
Maybe.
I'm not saying that's going to be him, but we'll see this year. They will have a much harder schedule this year. We'll see. I think he's fine. I'm just saying it's a little
So
early to put him at number
ultimately,
6.
this is my biggest issue is that I just don't think it matters because again, the Bills are going to be good. I believe the Patriots are going to be good. I think that both of those two have elite quarterbacks, and then on top of that, all the other like situations that you mentioned, right? Obviously, Ben Johnson is the biggest reason for the turnaround, but it was a very young offense that got another year of experience, and they brought in pieces defensively. They brought in an offensive line, which was their biggest issue the year before. And then obviously they got Coach right? The infrastructure was in place. They got the guy. Same thing with the Jags. Infrastructure in place. You've got the guy that was supposed to be the franchise quarterback, and obviously to that point he hadn't really been other than one season.
Well, most
But hold
people
on,
are saying he was a bust going
no,
into last year.
but in fairness, he had also had about the worst carousel of coaches in his career as you could have possibly had. Like so,
My point, you get the coach right, and bam,
sure, but I guess my point was that the guy was there. You know what I mean? Like it was just that
the
the coach,
quarterback was. Sure.
right? The coach was continuously wrong, and yes, they got the right one. But my point
Well,
is the
there's at
guy was
least
there.
some reason to have some hope about Malik. I
But
don't know if he's the guy or not,
anyways,
but at that
with
contract, it's a
with
deal.
the Broncos, like you mentioned, they had an elite defense before Russ. They had an elite defense with Russ, and they had an elite defense after Russ. They went and got coach right. They went and got a quarterback that's at least solid, right?
I think.
Ish. Do I think he was better? He's been better than Russell Wilson was his last year in Denver. No, and I'll die on that hill. But they did enough, right? And yes, you got coach right, but there was infrastructure in place. With the Seahawks, obviously they got coach right. That's the biggest piece of it. But they already had JSN. They brought in Cooper Kupp. They had a very young, well drafted defense who he coached up, right? And then you bring in Sam Darnold, who we didn't know. It was a big question, obviously, but he had a extremely good performance the year before, and we're questioning it. Like, is it a fluke? Obviously, we're going into this last year and realize it's not a fluke, right? Or at least it was repeatable, and they did repeat it to a better standard,
Look,
and
I
they win
think
a
we're
Super
going to
Bowl. My
see.
point is, all these places had infrastructure in place, and yes, there could be theoretical infrastructure, kind of, with Malik Willis, although he doesn't really have receivers. We did draft a couple, but who knows, right? He doesn't really have receivers. That could be theoretical infrastructure. The defense is terrible. Chop is solid, but the defense is terrible. I kind of like our draft, but it wasn't incredible. The offensive line is okay. Obviously, we have Devon, but we don't even know any of our like coordinators as like
Look, one last thing, and
pieces.
we'll move on to the NBA.
I just think it's a big unknown, and so I don't like paying literally top of the league money at a position at any point whenever you're in this point of a rebuild. I just am not a fan of it. I would rather, I think as much as I would hate to see him go, I think he holds more value for what we could bring in for him than for paying him best in the league money, even though he could be best in the league.
I mean, we'll see. So, one other thing before we move on, and I think there's going to be an interesting petri dish this year that could kind of continue to prove my point on this coaching thing, right? Take the Dolphins out of it for a minute. That could be a possibility, I suppose. I'm not sold on the coach, the quarterback, or anything else. So to be clear,
right.
prove
And
it.
that's kind of why I'm like, why are we paying $17 million a
I'm-
year for a running
Sure,
back?
I got her, but and I'm going into this season with not any expectations.
I have no hope.
However, right. So where I think fans could, and I find this really interesting. I know 99% sure the Raiders got the coach right.
Agreed.
99% sure they nailed the first pick in the draft. Not that it was hard.
Right, but you got the guy
There
that you're
is
supposed to
young
get.
talent on that offense when you look at Genty and Bowers.
They could be interesting.
You still kind of, sort of weirdly lucked back into keeping Crosby, right? I don't think the Chiefs are a playoff team this year. I don't think they've
it's
improved.
Close, but
and you got Mahomes coming off of an injury, yada yada yada, right?
I don't think the Raiders are a better team than the Chiefs.
Chargers got better. Obviously, I think the Chargers got better. The defense in Denver is still going to be elite. I'm not sold on Bo Nix. I'm not picking the Raiders to make the playoffs, but it wouldn't be shocking.
It would be shocking to me because I do still believe that even with everything, they are the fourth best team in the division. There is zero world where I'm picking the Chiefs to be a worse team than them, and they're not taking all four to the playoffs.
I'm not
I'm not even
100%
saying that
convinced that
I'm not
Denver's
even.
gonna make the playoffs either.
I mean, it would be.
I think the Chargers are gonna be scary with McDaniels at
Agreed. I think it
coordinator.
would be insane for the Broncos to go from a 14-win team to missing the playoffs. But I would
not
think
saying
that
they will. I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked.
I would think that
if Bo Nix
here's what
takes
I
a
would tell you. I think that it is
regrets.
I think that it is more likely that the Broncos miss the playoffs than the Raiders make it. I will say that.
That's fair.
But again, I do expect a good level of improvement from the Raiders.
But if
just
that
because,
team gets similar to us, if that team gets a 9 or 10 wins,
no, it's a
their
massive
trajectory
win.
is nothing but up.
Now, but that's
crazy.
different than us because with us, I could see us getting there and then still stagnating and staying there. Like, oh, it was really impressive year one, and then year two when it happens, it's
that's
like
kind of been our MO for the last 20 years,
right? But with them,
yeah.
with them, it's like, okay, we got coach, we have a super young running back, a super young tight end, a super young quarterback. If we get to that point this year, then what does next year look like? Then that's a different conversation. Yeah. With us, it still is up in the air. If we hit 8-9 wins this season, I'm super satisfied. But then I'd be concerned that that's what we're hitting next year, and then I'd be like,
if you're Vegas and you get to 7 wins,
agreed,
you're stoked.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you got, especially if Mendoza, he's going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Right.
And he definitely won't start the season, I don't think. But and we've had this conversation. I don't think that he's going to play I don't think he's going to not play at all this year. I think he'll probably miss the first 6 or 7-ish games, and then he'll play. All right. And then we'll get a full sample size of like half a season.
I'm getting stoked about the NFL already.
Yeah, I know. And it's really upsetting that it's still like 3 months away.
Even though 82.7% chance the Dolphins are going to suck.
Yeah, and that's kind of the conversation that I've had with you, and I think I've had it on here before, is that because of me growing up as a Dolphins fan, what I've kind of realized as an NFL fan is that if we get a good, high-quality, entertaining NFL season, I'm happy. And then if the Dolphins happen to be a little bit competitive, it's bonus, right? So the last couple of years were kind of bonus, and it also started giving me hope, which was not good as a Dolphins fan. And now I'm back to the point where I have no hope, so I'm in my sweet spot. Like, I'm going to enjoy this NFL season, and if we're okay, okay.
Hey, look, also, just so our 5 followers out there understand one thing. It wasn't child abuse. I did not force this on him.
That's true.
He made a choice because he was a Russell Wilson fan in Seattle, and he made his mind up one day, I'm going to be a Dolphins fan. Adam's like, you don't have to be. It's a tough existence.
It's a tough existence.
He chose to do it anyway. So this was not child abuse. I did not force it on him. I even had the conversation. Are you sure this is a lifelong sentence that you're signing up for? And he chose to do it anyway. So it wasn't my fault.
I'm still blaming you. I think that you should have been a better father, and you should have banned me from being a Dolphins fan. You should have said no.
I literally tried to talk you out of it.
No. Not I'm giving you an out. Not you don't have to be. No, son, you are grounded. Go to your room and pick a different team.
Stop. All right, NBA.
Yeah, we just spent 22 minutes. Oh, man, I miss the NFL. We just spent 23 minutes talking about the NFL when it's prime time in the NBA playoffs.
With one damn signing that we care about.
With one thing. Man, I am ready to get back to the NFL season. We'll get there eventually, and we'll obviously have full season previews, that kind of stuff beforehand. But, man, the NBA playoffs have been fun.
Yeah, let's talk second round here, and let's
start with the series that ended first. Let's go Knicks Sixers.
Okay. First of all, the last time we recorded, I said the most ridiculous thing in the history of podcasting. So we probably have 4 followers now, down from 5. Someone was like, this guy's a joke. And I said this, and I'm going to own it. I said, if Embiid plays, this isn't the team we saw all year. This team could beat the Knicks.
Which is a valid statement.
Now, it's a stupid statement. First of all, the game after I said that, he didn't play.
Yep, there it goes.
Not play because you're in pain, right? Like, I get it. I was having this discussion the other day with someone here, and he was like, yeah, but what if he has a long-term lasting injury? What if it makes him miss games next year? He's going to miss games next year. That's not a thing. Who cares? If I'm the organization, I certainly don't care. Get your ass out there. Give me some cortisone. Get you some opioids, whatever.
Now,
get out there.
In fairness to Joel Embiid,
he did not play in game 2. And then look, here's the thing. I got on this bandwagon because of what they did to the Celtics. I didn't expect it. Celtics were my pick in the East. It was a bad knee-jerk reaction to what they were able to do. Embiid was really good in that series, but they had no answer for it. As soon as they played a team, and not the Cat's a great defensive player, but he did good enough. And the Cat was great offensively. Brunson was great offensively. It was not even a series. They destroyed.
Yeah.
Look,
So
I get that you just made the second round of the playoffs as if you're the 76ers. It means nothing. You
No.
have to blow that team up and build around Maxey. Not everything can go. It's ridiculous.
but the problem is I don't think anybody's taking Embiid. So
No, they're not. No. Why would you know what you have to give up to get him? To maybe get somebody that plays 30 games a year?
yeah. I mean,
And then if he has a boo-boo, he's not going to play in the playoffs?
his value is at an all-time low. However, it is one of those things where, like, as we've talked about with the CBA and stuff, you do have to make the contracts work. And so there's only
Right.
and there are other players
No one
on
can
bad
do it.
contracts, but then what are you actually doing if you're the Sixers? You're just replacing bad contract for bad contract, and maybe you're getting a guy that plays more, but not a guy that plays as well when he plays. You know what I mean?
And you're not coming from a position of power.
no. They don't have leverage.
In order to get to the players, I think in order for them to get the players out of the trade, they would have to get to make the salaries work. You're giving Embiid and picks.
Possibly.
You can't give
Now,
up
again,
picks right now if you're the
there are
76ers.
other players on bad contracts, so that is a thing. However, you don't want to swap bad contract for bad contract, because if they're on a bad contract, then what it really means is that they may be more available than Embiid, but they're not getting as good of play for you. When Embiid plays, like we've talked about, he's still an MVP caliber player, but it's one of those things where it's like, is he going to play 35 games? Great, but that didn't do me anything. So
look,
ultimately, I think after the first round, we all drank the Kool-Aid a little bit. You took him in 6. I tentatively said Knicks in 7, which was also
it
dumb.
wasn't even a good
worth.
series. They weren't even close.
No, right. Well, and I said Knicks in 7, but when I said it, I felt bad about it. It was like, I want to change it. Obviously, Knicks in 4, like it was actually insane. And kind of like you said, Cat kind of played like he was crazy in that series, and I think he probably gained a little bit more respect from you after that series.
Look, he's always been an elite offensive player.
Oh, well, hold on. You try and say he's inconsistent offensively, and then be like,
well, okay. Let me rephrase that. When it feels like he's giving maximum effort, it's true. There are times where
I feel
like there are times where he should be way more aggressive, and he's not.
No, in fairness, he is the number 2 on that roster, and I think he has found his sweet spot of allowing Brunson to be the guy, which wasn't the case before he went there.
Offensively,
he's phenomenal.
He's never been a good defensive player.
No.
And so, but
he does have his moments, and those moments was in the series.
But here's where I'll give him a credit in this series specifically, whether he keeps it up or not, I don't know. He at least was giving effort on defense. And when you're that good offensively, and this is the Luka argument, right? Luka doesn't give effort on defense. At least Cat was doing that. And that's not usually what he does.
That's fair.
And it paid off. So, look, he's not the MVP of that series. It was Brunson. But he was great in the series, without a doubt. I see 0 ways that the Knicks don't make the NBA Finals.
0.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get through the other games.
Okay,
so, all right.
So here's what I will say. There is a ton of value for them. They've already been sitting on their butts for 4 or 5 days now. Obviously, OG was banged up, and they don't have a ton of depth. So, like, obviously, Brunson, Cat, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and then Mikal Bridges, even though he's been getting kind of benched, right? And then you've got like Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, and like that's your team. Like they don't have a ton of depth, and especially as you get deeper in the playoffs and you only want the guys playing, they don't have a bunch of depth. And outside of OG's been banged up, Mikal's been inefficient, and inconsistent, so he's been getting benched. Like now you've got at least like a week and a half to reset, to focus on film, to practice, to get in the gym, and for OG to get healthy. I mean, it's very valuable.
It is. However, this is the problem with the Knicks roster as currently constructed. Outside of Cat and Brunson, the rest of the offense is just super inconsistent.
True. It's very
And
3-point
so when they
reliant
start
on
playing a
spreading
defense,
the field and or
when
spreading
they
the
play a
floor, and
great
then
defense, whether that's us or the Spurs, right? They're toast.
no, for sure. And for what it's worth, I think that they have the worst defense left in the playoffs, which isn't anything groundbreaking because the Thunder and the Spurs are the best
That's fair.
defenses in the league, and the
Yeah.
Pistons are right there with them. And then obviously the Wolves and the Cavs are also really good defenses as well. The Knicks are not just the worst defense left in the playoffs; they are the worst defense left in the playoffs by a margin. So they have to be able to
Now
outscore you tremendously against good defenses. But
I would argue not counting Ant right now, because I don't think he's going to be in the next round. Um,
sure,
I do think they probably win game 6. We'll see. But
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
here's the thing. I think that the most clutch player left in the playoffs outside of Shea is Brunson.
Agreed. Clutch wise, I don't think he's the best player left. I think that
No, no,
obviously Shea is the best player left. Wimby is number 2. And then if it's healthy, Anthony Edwards is probably 3. But I would
no. If
say
he's healthy, he's definitely 3.
right.
Especially with his playoff performances in the past.
And then I would say that just as an all around player, we can talk playoff value and that kind of stuff. As an all around player, I would probably take both Cade and Donovan Mitchell over Brunson, although it's close. Um, but
But in the
but
clutch, outside of Shea, there's no one I trust
yeah,
more
yeah, for
than
sure.
Brunson.
And obviously, like we said, the Knicks have been phenomenal. They went down 2-1 against the Hawks, and since that
Haven't
moment have
lost
been
since then, have they?
no, they've gone 7-0 since then. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're hot,
All right.
very hot.
Let's jump to the other series that's over. Lakers Thunder.
Yeah,
This one exactly. I mean, it was closer in some spots than I expected.
not closer
I
in some
give
spots.
them.
Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say.
Hold
And
on. Let me finish my thought here.
okay,
The first thing is I give the Lakers a lot of credit in game 4. They could have folded tens. That could have been ugly. They fought their butts off. It wasn't enough. Really weird calls towards the end of that game with Redick. Um, pulling Hachimura out, who's been their hottest, not just their hottest 3-point player, the hottest 3-point shooter in the playoffs to that
yeah,
moment. It was weird that he was out and other guys that have struggled were in, but neither here nor there. There were a couple of things in this series that if you're an actual basketball fan and you actually watch basketball, you can't keep saying, right? With all the bitching and complaining the Lakers did after game 1 and game 2, game 3 comes out and they melted down 1 second into the game because Ayton really fouled Chad on the jump ball. Like it was a real foul. But in that game, the Thunder took 10 free throws. The Lakers took 25 and we still won by 20. I think it was actually 23, but neither here nor there. First of all, this narrative about the Thunder and free throws and Shea and free throws is ridiculous. This notion that Shea is cocky and all of that stuff that you keep hearing too, it's like, what are you looking at? Like, even the most impressive thing I may have ever seen by a superstar player was after game 4. They were interviewing Shea, and he brought AJ with him. 2 games in a row, by the way, he did that. And they were asking about AJ, and he's like, he was the best player in the series. And he's right. But no other superstar has ever said those things. Did you hear what Ant said in one of his interviews? It's like, I knew I just had to carry the team to a win. Right? Shea doesn't do that.
now in
Right?
fairness,
So,
being hurt with his injuries, he did play 40 minutes in that game and scored 30
no,
something.
he was
So
amazing.
he did. But
What we're
but
seeing
you're
right
right.
now, hold on. What we're seeing out of Ant right now, we're not even on that series, but what we're seeing out of Ant right now is one of the most gritty, guttiest performances
Yeah.
I've ever seen in a playoff
No,
series.
for sure. And in both of
So-
their wins, he did have phenomenal clutch
I'm not
time
saying it's not
minutes.
true. I'm not saying it's not true.
But the sentiment of what you're saying, I agree with.
Jay doesn't
Yeah.
say it.
No,
Right?
for sure.
So-
For sure.
So then the other thing is,
Because in game 4, Shea also had like what 33 or something like that, and and it was the first clutch time that we've actually played in this playoffs, and he showed
Yeah.
that he was the clutch player of the year. So you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I mean, absolutely.
look, but here's the thing. Here's the thing too. I've always kind of had this soft spot for Austin Reeves. Obviously played at Oklahoma, undrafted free agent, has really kind of made a career for himself. Right? He's a meme now to me. I have no respect for Austin Reeves.
I
The
mean,
way he Hold on. Let me finish this thought because it's important. I don't like when Luka and LeBron do it, when they're arguing with the ref while the ball's going back down the field and making their team play 4-on-5 defense. I don't like it when they do it. But obviously LeBron is a top, I don't care who you are. To me, he's probably number 2, but worst case scenario, he's a top 5 player of all time. Luka is one of the best offensive talents we've ever seen, right? When you just talk offense.
It's like in a tier, it's like Jokic, Luka, Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan.
Right.
Like that. Like that's the list.
Sorry, Austin.
Shea.
This is a newsflash for you, Austin. You're not any of those guys.
That is true.
You are an undrafted free agent that has made a really good career at this point. You will be on NBA rosters for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that. And I think you're probably better off the bench option on a lot of teams. But
no, I mean, I think he averaged like 26 or 27
he
this year.
Doesn't play defense though either.
No, for sure. But if you get a guy, if you get a defensive guard around him, like, which they don't have right now.
You could argue game 4, Austin lost. His turnovers in this series, it reminded me of Russell Westbrook. The problem is Russell Westbrook is so athletic. Sometimes he got away with that stuff. Austin's dribbling through the lane and just falls over and throws the ball out of bounds. Like, it was embarrassing.
Now,
and then hold on. And then you have the audacity to blame the officials. The other thing, and this is the last thing, and then I'm going to let you have your time.
Okay.
The other thing was the meeting with the officials after game 2.
Yeah, that was bulls.
Hold on. Let me finish. His explanation makes him look like a little bitch. He was like, he yelled at me when we were doing a jump ball and it was disrespectful. You've been yelling at his ass for 8 straight quarters. Who's disrespecting who? It was ridiculous. The explanation was ridiculous. I'm here for the memes. They're awesome. That's all he did to himself in the series. If you don't know who Austin Reeves is or didn't watch him play a lot, you don't come away from this series, if you're an NBA fan or a casual fan, saying, man, I want to see that guy play some more. No way.
I agree with what you're saying. Now, for what it's worth, this team, as we've talked about, is historic. They are the best modern era defense we have ever seen by a margin.
Doing it.
And
those are unforced turnovers.
No. Some of the kind of, but a lot of it is intentional. A lot of it is scheme. A lot of it is how we play. We make not the same because he still has value and impact, whereas Austin Reeves had a very negative in this series, right? But we make Luka Doncic look like that a lot of the times at this point, right? Like, the team that lost to Luka 2 years ago in the playoffs is not the team currently playing. Not even close. The difference
between what we do to Luka and what we're doing to Austin Reeves? We're putting one guy on Austin Reeves. We're putting 2 guys.
No, for sure. Like I said, so ultimately Luka still has net positive value because other guys get open as a result, right? However, my point being, we do this to a lot of guys. We did this to Anthony Edwards every game last year in the conference finals, outside of one game that they destroyed us, but we just didn't show up, right? We did it for 2 or 3 games against Nikola Jokic. We did it for a couple games against Tyrese Halliburton. This is what we do. This is what this defense is.
I'm not arguing any of those things.
This is, and obviously all of those players that I just named.
Composure, you're a professional.
Yeah, sure. But all of those guys that we've named are higher caliber basketball players than Austin Reeves. So I agree with you, but this is what this team does. And so the other thing I will give one redeeming quality to, and this story didn't get pushed much because the narrative doesn't align with the media for this, but I do give slight redeeming credit to Austin Reeves. There was I think it was after either game 3 or game 4, but he was in the locker room and they were talking to him, the reporters were, and they asked him about the Thunder and what they do well and how they're like at the top of all these defensive stats and not near the top in fouls. And he said straight up, yeah. And I think this is like part of what we've talked about before, when all the dust settles and you're not in the heat of
the same thing after the Sun series after all their pitching.
Well, you're not in the heat of the moment. The passion dies down a little bit. You realize it's over. He said straight up, yeah, they are a great defensive team and they are very disciplined, and what they do well is they are phenomenal on defense and they do great about not fouling. That's what he said. And so at the end of the day, he's able to admit it. And again, I get that things happen, and in the heat of the moment, it looks really, really bad for him. But he did have that redeeming quality, and nobody's going to run with that story because the mainstream media doesn't want that to be true. But
No, they want the Shea's a flopper, and the reason the Oklahoma wins, they take so many more foul shots. We were 17th in the league this year in free throw attempts.
and the Lakers
17.
were two. So
We're 2.
Yeah.
Luka was number 1, and it was before LeBron came back. Do you remember? Austin was 2.
yeah, he was for a while.
Once LeBron came back, that changed. But
Yeah. And for what it's worth, it kind of angered me when they said this. But they were talking about it on the broadcast. I think it was in Game 4. It was either in Game 3 or Game 4. But they mentioned, they were like, "Oh, Shea's led the league in free throw make or points from the free throw line in the last 4 years
what a
consecutively."
skewed way to put that.
Which is true. It is true.
It
but
is
it's because he
true,
shoots
'cause he can shoot
89%.
'em.
Right.
Yeah, because he can shoot them.
All the other guys at the
Yeah.
top.
Luka has had more attempts and made less.
Right. Luka shoots like 75% from the free throw line. Giannis shoots like 60-something% from the free throw line. You know, like, these guys just
They
shoot
had
way
more
less
attempts.
percentage.
Yeah.
And it's kind of dumb. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. He has. But also,
The
as
other
a
thing,
percentage of
too-
his points,
The
it's
other
less.
thing too, yes, Shea is number 2 in free throw attempts.
Sure.
But what everybody always overlooks, and I don't think they overlook it. I think
Nobody else on the roster
don't
ever
actually
gets
watch
any
this
call.
stuff. The most of the people saying this crap are people that watch 2-second clips online that shows Shea getting hit and they think it's a phantom foul, right? What they're missing is fundamental to who the Thunder are, right? And Shea's the biggest piece of that. We have other guys that can do it. AJ proved he can do it. Obviously, Dub can do it. We drive the lane. We always lead our opponents in points in the paint. We always do. There was a couple of games in this Lakers series.
Part of that
where
is
we
also
beat
Chet's defense in the paint as well. But you're right. It's
Yeah,
intentional offensively.
But but the point is, there was a couple of games that we were 30 plus points more than the Lakers in the paint. If you're in the paint that much, you better lead in free throws, and we didn't.
Yeah.
We're not out there jacking threes up. In fact, in this series, I would say some of the reason it was even remotely close at times, we were jacking up way too many threes at times. But
Well, I think in the moments that it was close, less than that, it was more about the Lakers jacking a lot of threes and they were going in, right? Like, Rui was shooting stupid.
I mean,
and the team's
to me, if you're the Lakers, there's one bright spot in this playoff series.
2,
Hachimura.
I would say, but the
He
other
was
one
incredible.
the other one I would say is that LeBron James is 41 years old and was still doing what he was doing. Like, he was really good, like, for most of it.
He was good on one side. He did not have the
wasn't
defensive
the
series he
best
did in game 1 and
defender
game 2
on
in the
the
first round. But
For sure, but for what it's worth, again, he's also 41, and we have just too many options. Like, and they're not a good defensive team, as we've discussed, right? The Rockets made them look that way
It's
because the
fine. Yeah,
Rockets'
I mean,
offense
look.
is that bad. But
here's the last thought. We need to move on. And that's this. Anyone that actually thought the Lakers had any chance at all in that series did not watch basketball all year. I wouldn't have been
and they never
surprised
did.
if they got a game in LA. I didn't think they were going to, but I wouldn't have been shocked by it, right? They almost did. Clearly. So I wouldn't have been shocked by it, but come on. That was never going to be a Lakers win.
Yeah.
Shea could have gotten hurt and we would have won that series. AJ could have carried us.
I think
it was a ridiculous, all the hope and whatever. I get it as a fan. Like, I'm going to go root for you anyway. Deep down, this was never going to be a series, and it wasn't.
no.
I give them tons of credit for game 4. I do.
Yeah. The other thing I will
right.
say, I don't know that
we'll go to Timberwolves Spurs last.
Hold on. I don't know that we would win this series without Shea, because I think there's also a difference between production and being good and then value, right? Like, you can make the argument for sure, like Shea did, that AJ was the best player in the series. You can make the argument that Chet Holmgren was the best player in the series. Hell, you can make the argument through game 1 and 2 that LeBron James was the best player in the series. But you cannot make the argument that Shea was not the most valuable player in the series because of what he did. The
I'm not
reason
saying
that
he was. You're
everybody else,
missing my point.
I
That was not a
agree. But
dig
the
on
reason that
Shea.
the reason that no, I know, but the reason that everybody had as much success as they did, including AJ. Now, although AJ does do it with Shea on the bench as well, and he's been phenomenal. But part of the reason that he's
He
had as
has
much
been.
success as he has had, no, I know that's what I'm saying. But part of the reason he's had so much success is that the Lakers, because they're not a good defense, have been doubling Shea instantly, and so then they get the ball out of his hands, and then it's 4-on-3.
Yeah, you're
So you're
missing
not
my
going to
point.
win.
I'm not saying we weren't better with Shea. What I'm saying is I
No,
think we
for
could have
sure.
won that series. We could have won that series without him.
I think it gets tight, but
It doesn't get
theoretically,
tight.
maybe.
It doesn't even go 7. I doubt it goes 6. They probably win game 4.
The other thing I will say, the last thing I will say on that is that I do believe, for what it's worth, every single time I watch a game in this series, the 18-point win, the 23-point win, the whatever, every single time I walked away like, man, especially for the Lakers standpoint, that's about as impressive as an 18-point loss as you could have had. Like, they played as hard as they could have. It didn't work.
But we do what we do in the third quarter.
Yeah, no. They were just by far not as good of a team. Obviously, we knew that.
Well, the other part
and they were never going to win. But
the other part of it is we just throw bodies at you.
Yeah, they played hard. They did. And
yeah,
Jared McCain's hooper.
I really thought game 4 was going to be a massive blowout.
Yeah, I don't know.
It felt like they had folded up tent and ready to go home.
I don't know how we talked about this series for 15 minutes without mentioning Jared McCain, but that dude's a hooper.
Look, this is. I'm going to talk about one more thing, and then we go the next one.
Okay.
This is what people that aren't Oklahoma City fans and don't follow them closely, and they just look at what they see on TV or in the media or on those 2-second reels, right? Don't understand about the Thunder. They're all bought in.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys barely played in the first round, but when they're called upon, they come out there and they ball.
Jared McCain played, I think, 24 minutes in the first round.
Right. When you look at it,
he played like 20 minutes a game.
They're not upset. Round. They're ready to go. And
that's even in game 4 in the clutch, it wasn't even like Jared McCain just came in this series in late in the fourth quarter when we were already up and just started hitting crap and scored a lot of points. Like in game 4, he came in when we were down and hit 2 threes and tied the game.
Well, and you see interviews with him, and he's like a little kid in a candy. He's just happy to be on this team because that's the environment.
Yeah,
like if you're a fan of basketball, I don't care what team you're a fan of. This should be what you want your team to be.
Agreed. Now, what I will say, obviously, everyone hates
the hatred for Oklahoma City.
Everyone hate watches the Thunder, and that just happens because they're better than you. Nobody hate watches Jared McCain. Everybody loves Jared McCain. Like even on social media, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I hate the Jared McCain's on the Thunder because I love him." Like everybody says that.
Jared McCain, I saw an interview with Dub the other day, and they were asking him who on the team would be this and this and this, and almost all of it. Oh, McCain. Yeah. They did ask a funny question. Who would narrate a documentary about the Thunder? And he goes, "Well, I guess me."
Right.
Because he did.
Yeah. No, I saw that. It was with Richard Jefferson. The one last thing I want to hit on, just very, very briefly. In game 3, I don't know if you saw this or not. In game 3, AJ Mitchell had 24 points, 10 assists, 3 steals,
incredible.
No turnovers. Okay. Do you know how many players in playoff history have had a stat line of that or better? 24 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, no turnovers.
I mean, the key is the turnover piece, I'm assuming.
Right. But do you know how many players have done that? Including him.
Cannot be many.
The answer is 4.
Okay.
The answer is Kevin Johnson, AJ Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, and Larry Bird.
That's insane.
That's the list. Like AJ Mitchell has been
That's how freaking
so good.
Deep our roster is.
Well, and not just that. That is why we are able, with so much success, to win without Dub. And I don't even think that this is even slight diss on Dub at this point because AJ Mitchell has done it so consistently. He's not as good of a defender as Dub, although he is a plus defender. He is every bit as valuable offensively as Jalen Williams is.
He's not quite as athletic, but yes.
But in terms of what he does offensively, I mean,
But you're right. Defensively, Dub is still significantly better. AJ's good.
But Dub is an all defensive. Dub is an all defensive defender.
And Dub is much more athletic.
Yes. And he's longer and so like that obviously he's got advantages there. But offensively, Dub is AJ Mitchell is every bit as valuable as Dub. So it's a very interesting conversation, especially because he makes $3 million a year. But
Yeah. Till 28.
yeah, 3-year deal, where $3 million a year. So he's phenomenal. Anyway,
Yeah.
so you wanted to
All
go
right.
Cavs Pistons next?
Yeah, we'll talk about the other one last.
All right.
Look, this has been sort of an entertaining series at times. James actually had a good game 4 offensively, which he had been really struggling offensively, like it is his MO in the playoffs. But look, this might be the most meaningless second round matchup I've ever seen. I don't trust either of these teams. Both of these teams are super inconsistent. Knicks could do that too.
I don't trust the Knicks either.
In the playoffs, though, over the last 7 games, they haven't lost. Both of these guys can't win a road game.
I mean, they haven't yet. Although the Pistons were down 3-1, right? So
look, against
they did in the
a
first
team that
round.
had no business hanging with them to begin with.
Agreed. But I guess my point is they did in the first round. Now the Cavs, to your point, haven't in this playoffs because they won game 1 and 2 and then 5 and 7, right? However, if you're the Pistons and you end up winning the series, technically speaking, you don't have to win a road game. Now you'd go to 3 straight game 7s.
But I guess that's my point. If that's what it takes.
First of all, but as we've already discussed, none of these 3 teams are going out and beating whoever comes out of the West. That's not going to happen.
No,
so,
the champion is in the West.
Sure.
Even if somehow it was the Timberwolves.
Right.
It's still them.
But my point being that at that point, it doesn't matter if you're the Pistons. If that's what it takes to get to the finals and you have to go to 3 straight game 7s, fine. Right? Because it doesn't matter in the finals when you get there. You're not winning it. Right? So I guess my point being that if that's what it takes, sure. But my point is it can still happen. You can be like, well, they can't win a road game. Sure. Technically speaking, they don't have to.
Just because they say they can't win a road game doesn't mean they can't lose a home game.
Sure.
They did.
Sure.
To the Orlando Magic. So
sure.
I don't see a world the Knicks don't win that game or that series, regardless of who comes out.
But again,
I agree with you that
they have the worst defense.
I agree with you. And in the West, it would matter. I just don't know if it does in the East. Because here's the thing. If Cade's not on.
Well, Cade always is on. The question is somebody else.
Fair enough. Then they're not very good.
Agreed.
Look, Mitchell's been great through the playoffs. He had 40 the other night. Harden is up and down. Yeah, Harden's up and down. I trust more because of experience, I guess, with Mitchell. I trust Cleveland more than I trust the Pistons. But I don't know that I trust either of those 2 teams to get past the Knicks.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying, and I do think that in theory, if you look at
by the way, right now at half, of course, Cleveland's losing to the Pistons in Detroit.
I will say that if you look at this playoffs in a nutshell, obviously the Knicks look like a much more consistent, much better team than either of these other 2, right? However, that's not how basketball works. They did also play an 82-game regular season, and we do have sample sizes of all of these teams from playoffs past, right? My point being, last year, the Pistons took the Knicks to 7, and they lost that series because Game 7 was in New York, and they weren't the better team. This year, they are the better team. They're a better defense, and Game 7 would be in Detroit. I'm not saying they win it, but I'm saying it becomes very interesting. And that would,
of course, if Cleveland gets through this, they're going to have to win in New York because New York will have home court.
If it goes 7. I also just think that here's my concern right now, and I don't know that this really matters a ton because I'm wrong currently. I said that I thought the Cavs were going to win this series because I think that they're a better team than the Pistons, right? As of now, that doesn't look great, but if they come back in the second half and win Game 5 and then go win Game 6 in Cleveland, then I look pretty good because I said Cavs in 6, right? That's what I said pre-series. However, we'll see. I could be wrong there. What I'm going to say, because again, I said that I thought the Cavs were the better team going into the series. I believe that the Knicks are the 3rd best team left in the East. And I don't think that's necessarily fair to them to say, but I think that it's true, at least on paper. Again, it may not matter. They may just go win anyways. but I do believe that they are the third best team because, again, their defensive value is so much less than the other teams, and the other teams at least have some offensive value. I do think that the Cavs are a better offense than the Pistons by a significant margin. With
Yeah, of
the
course.
Pistons, because their offense outside of Kate is so bad, it could end up being that it doesn't matter, and then the Knicks win anyways. However, I think it's a closer with either of those teams than you're giving it credit for currently.
Here,
And not to say that
you're
you're
right.
saying that the Knicks are going to sweep, but I don't think that it's just shut and shut the
It's
box
not.
like cut and
It's not.
dry.
You're right. You're
The
right. What I
Knicks are going to
am
the
saying,
finals.
however,
They are the
here's what
favorites
I'm.
currently, for what it's worth. They are
Here,
the favorites
yeah, of
on
course.
all betting everywhere. The Knicks are going
Yeah,
to the finals.
here's
But
what I'm saying though. If Brunson's going to play Brunson ball,
yeah,
right? If Cat plays like he did against the 76ers for a complete series against those other two,
now here's what I
I
will
don't know.
say. Here's what I will say. Jalen Duren was an all-star this year for the first time in his career, and is borderline, depending on how the votes shake out, might make an All-NBA team for the Pistons. He's not an elite defender, but he is a much improved defender. He's a really good rebounder. He can at least make Karl Anthony Towns feel uncomfortable. And if they end up playing the Cavs, 2 years ago, Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year. Now, he only won it because Wemby got hurt, right? Otherwise, he would have finished in second. But I guess my point is, he would have been second in DPOY. Like, he has a Defensive Player of the Year award.
The other thing
He's an
too,
incredible Defensive Player of the Year,
yeah.
or incredible
The
defensive
other,
player. Like either way, Karl Anthony Towns is going to have his toughest series to date in this
well, that's not saying much, but yeah,
playoffs. My point being that we can see ways that these teams can make the Knicks uncomfortable,
yeah, and
which
X
again the Knicks
factor,
can't do to their offensive players.
yeah, an X factor of people left in this series right now in the East. Jared Allen for the Cavs, man, he's an X factor.
Can be, because it depends on the way that him and Mobley fit on offense, and so when
Yeah.
he's on, it makes it a lot easier. But he can also be, and I guess this kind of goes to your point of being the X factor, he can also be the thing that tanks their offense on the other side, and then you got to start figuring
Yeah,
things out and
fair enough.
experimenting.
Fair enough.
But I agree with you that
But he was the reason they won Game 7.
He was a big part of it, for sure.
He took that game over in the third, had a double-double. It was nuts.
Yeah.
All right.
So
let's go.
I just want to get it out there in the open. Who are we picking to win this series? The one currently.
Honestly, I don't like it. I'm picking the Pistons because I just don't think anybody's going to run a road game in
That's
that
fair.
series.
Obviously, and I'm not saying anything groundbreaking
I think
here.
Cleveland will win Game 6. I think it'll go back to Detroit. Who do I want to win it? I'd like to see the Cavs. Look, I still have a soft spot for James Harden. I'd like to see him get there. I just don't think anybody can win a road game in that series.
I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, because anytime a series goes into Game 5 tied 2-2, the winner of Game 5 wins the series like 70% of the time. However, you just got to see who wins this game. If the Cavs come back down 8 right now at halftime and win this game, yeah, they're going to go win Game 6, right? If the Pistons win it, then odds are they've got 2 chances to close it out, one of them being at home. They're probably going to win. However, I'm just going to get on record now. I don't know if they come back and win this game and then win in 6, or if they just have an incredible Donovan Mitchell performance in Game 7. I'm picking the Cavs to win. I picked them pre-series. I'm still going to pick them in 7. So
I hope you're right.
I think I'm wrong, but we'll see.
And to be clear, we have, since we started doing our top 5 contenders, we've never put Pistons in it.
No. And for what it's worth, even if they make the conference finals, even if they make the finals, they're still not, like, to me, a true contender, because and for what it's worth, I guess technically speaking, none of these teams are, but they're not winning it. So, like,
okay. Let's go Timberwolves Spurs.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I've watched every minute of these games. It's been interesting, so let me just take a step back first. I don't know that it's smart what the Timberwolves are doing by pushing Edwards out there, but this is one of the most grittiest playoff performance I've ever seen.
It's kind of one of those things you got to do. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to play. He's a competitor.
Except for I know in their mind they could win this year. They're not winning this year. You're really putting your franchise's future in the line of fire right now.
Here's what
if Edwards was to miss a whole season, this team is irrelevant next year.
Well, here's what I would say.
Hold on, let me finish where I'm going.
Okay.
So first, I mean, game 2 with the 76ers after playing like 20 games all year. Embiid can't play. Edwards is out there on an injury that no one thought he would get into this series on. And not only is he out there, he's killing it, right? Like I said, one of the most guttiest, grittiest performances I've ever seen. So let's start there. Randall has been terrible.
As he typically is in the playoffs, especially against a good defense.
If Randall plays even remotely a little better in both those games, they might have won another 2 games already, right?
Yeah.
Like some of those games were really close, and he was really bad. The other thing I'll say is, and this is what gets really interesting, the Spurs are going to get through the series. I feel reasonably confident. 95% confident they're going to get through it. I'm not going to count the Wolves out. I actually kind of expect them to win tomorrow night because they're going to throw everything they have at it. And Edwards is just that guy. There's a reason they've made the Western Conference Finals 2 straight years going into this year. So, and it's like I told you at the beginning of before the play, you can never count Edwards out. It's a 5% chance right now because he's probably 85%. And the Spurs are just a better roster, right? So
by a lot.
And he's not getting a ton of help. So again, Gobert's had a really remarkable playoffs. He's really terrible offensively sometimes. There was a time in the last game, Edwards gave him a great pass. He's right on the bucket, and then he hesitated to go up. And by then, of course, Wemby got there, and he went over there after that play, and he grabbed the ball and he goes, like, go up, right? Like he was pissed. You could tell,
right?
But so I do think they're going to. Here's what I find very intriguing about some of the things we've learned in this series. Okay. This isn't a surprise to you, but Wemby is that player. Now, also because he's 7'6", I'm not losing that argument.
Stop.
Hold on. But here's
he's
the
that
thing.
Guy.
His youth showed that elbow.
We knew it was going to.
Was obvious ejection.
Yeah.
Obvious. You couldn't not do it. They looked at it for a long time. They didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
They had. He cost his team a game, probably.
Now,
right?
Here's what I will say.
Let me finish what I'm saying. It was kind of weird the way the media spun it, almost like, oh, I hope he bounces back okay. If this was Draymond, you'd be wanting him thrown out of the league. But
there's difference whenever you have a precedent.
But hold on, though. I agree with you, 100%.
And whenever you're one of the faces of the league, not that Wemby is yet,
but he's as egregious of a play like that I've seen in decades.
I mean,
since maybe the 90s.
It's not as egregious as hold on. Okay. It is not as egregious. It is not as egregious as Draymond Green putting a player in a headlock on the court.
Of course not. Draymond's an exception to this. But this was
okay. If you take any Draymond out of it,
what Draymond did like this is not potentially breaking your jaw or nose, which is what Wemby could have done. This would have been super serious if you put Reed out of the series. You have to put Wemby out of the series, right? So he could have hit him, and it wasn't like it was like he full swung, like it was a wind up and a follow through. So now here's my main point. It's not to hash this out or debate this. I don't care. What I am saying is the Timberwolves giving the energy they did and playing a physical style of basketball frustrated Wemby to the point that that's how he reacted. Now, did he learn from this? I think probably. But now he's about to face us. What did we learn from that? Oh, we will throw bodies at him all night and we will be physical and we won't care if we send him to the line 20 times, right? We'll throw Williams out there and say, I don't care if you get 5 fouls in 2 minutes. Make his life miserable. We'll do it with Caruso. We'll do it with Hartenstein. We won't do it with Chet because we don't want Chet to foul out. We will make his life miserable. And how does he react?
Now, so I agree with everything you've said. Kind of. What I will say is I do think who also learned from that is the Timberwolves, right? So for what it's worth, they're not going to stop because you got to throw the kitchen sink and you're already playing with house money. You're not supposed to win the series, right? However, it is going to be in the back of their minds now. Like you're right. Ultimately, it was a net positive for them because he gets ejected, they win the game. But it wasn't a net positive for Naz Reid. Like,
No,
he felt it.
that
So,
had to hurt.
so my point being, part of the reason, you're right, they did frustrate him. Part of the reason for that, though, is that on that play alone, he got fouled 3 separate times and it didn't get called. He got pissed. I mean,
I
and that's
know.
not the only
You
time.
got to be
So,
better than that.
no, agreed. I agree. I'm not defending him. What I'm saying is, he got frustrated. It happened, right? Yes, it was not good for him and ultimately was a net positive for the Timberwolves. But if you're a Timberwolves player, you got to kind of be thinking, if I take it one step further, am I going to get elbowed in the face? So they're going to think a little bit about it.
They don't care about that.
Agreed. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at him because they want to win. And they're playing with house money right now.
Between the Timberwolves and us. Here's the difference.
No, we'll do it. For sure.
We got the bodies. We don't care. Right? If I got to throw Kendrick Williams out there to get some fouls on Wemby, I don't care.
Ultimately,
I'm going to be in his head rent-free.
Now, ultimately, the other thing I will say is that if there are 2 players in the league that actually probably we would welcome getting elbowed in the face for their team, it's Alex Caruso and Jalen Williams.
100%.
So,
100%.
However, you're going to think about it. So I agree with you, but at the end of the day, I think I
also don't think he's going to do it again.
Right.
But you could frustrate him to the point where he makes a bunch of mistakes.
I think the other thing that comes of that is the discourse from it, right? Like the discourse in our series, and then game 3 happens where they out free throw us by 15, right? The discourse from that, I think, was beneficial to Wemby, where the discourse from it was like, okay, well, look how many times he got fouled on that play alone before it happened, right? And so then the officiating comes out and ends up being a little bit different, which I think ultimately was probably the goal, other than just pure frustration.
The other thing that hurts him is if he does anything that's even questionable now.
Oh yeah, now it's like,
get teed up.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's the risk you run. But at the end of the day, you just hope you don't get in that situation again, and ultimately you're trying to net benefit yourself and get them to start talking about the officiating and be like, dude, I'm getting absolutely destroyed and manhandled every play.
That's really the only story here.
Now, here's what I will say.
Timberwolves.
Obviously, Anthony Edwards has been phenomenal. They won 2 games in the series. In game 1, he scored like 12 of his 20 in the fourth quarter. He was phenomenal. And then in game 4, when they won,
16, I think.
Yes, and he had like 33 or 35 total, and he played 40 minutes, right? Even though he's still hurt. Like in game 1, obviously he was still on a minutes restriction, only played like 20 minutes off the bench. In game 4, he played 40, right? So like it's been phenomenal. However, the question I want to pose to you, and there's no right or wrong answer. I know which way I think I lean, but this kind of depends on how much hope do the Timberwolves actually have, right? In game 1, was the biggest reason they won Anthony Edwards, or the biggest reason they won the absolute absurd statistical anomaly efficiency from Victor Wembanyama? And then in game 4, was the biggest reason they won Anthony Edwards, or the fact that Victor Wembanyama didn't play the last 2.5 quarters? Again, no discredit to Anthony Edwards, but how much hope as the Timberwolves do you actually have, right? Like, do you need a statistical anomaly and or Victor Wembanyama straight up not playing from him, to win the game? Because you're that much difference in talent.
Here's the thing. When it came to that game 1, I knew he wasn't going to have another game like that.
Obviously.
Right? I mean,
but they did exactly what they wanted to him all game in that game, and it worked. But he wasn't going to have a game that poor again.
No, but even if he was just less efficient than normal, that's still a win, right?
I mean, maybe that was a 2-point win for them.
You have an elite scorer. This was the case with Jordan. It's been the case with LeBron. It's the case with Kobe. It's the case with Luka. You're not, or KD even. You're not going to stop those guys from scoring.
Obviously not.
Your goal is to make them shoot 35%. Right?
But if you get enough surrounding talent from them, that can still result in a win for that player.
Yeah, no, of course. My point being that there's certain guys you're not going to stop from scoring. Wemby's in that group.
So I guess my point being,
when he has a productivity like he did the other night.
I guess my point being with Wemby, even the 0 of 8 from 3 thing, like, first of all, anomaly not going to happen again, but even 0 of 8 from 3, they had a chance at the buzzer to win it. So my point being, like, you need literally that and a bag of chips to win the game against this team, because they're that much better.
But all of those things are part of the game.
No, absolutely. So, you're right.
Yes, you're right. Wemby, I said this that night. I was saying it the whole night when we were texting back and forth. Wemby has lost that game for them, period.
He was a big part of it. He's also the reason they were in the game, obviously. But
I guess my point being is that you answered your own question there, which, yes, That's why they lost. That's also why they were in it, which means the Timberwolves had to go win it.
Yes. So
Right?
credit to the
yeah.
heroic efforts from Anthony Edwards. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you get a game that Wemby finishes where he plays even relatively close to statistical par, you're going to lose because they're just the better team.
Obviously, you know how I feel about Michael Jordan. I will equate what Edwards has done in every game this series to the flu game. Like,
he's been phenomenal.
And with Michael, it was obviously a physical ailment, right? No, that's not what I meant to say. Like, you know, he was sick. With Edwards, literally something's wrong with his knee. And it's incredible. Like the guts he's showing out there, the will to win, right? And I don't want to make this about LeBron, but this is my problem I've always had with LeBron. LeBron won a lot of games in his career because he was just the best player on the court. Guys like Kobe, guys like who most of the time was also the best guy on the court, but Ant, they just have this. I'm just not gonna die here, right? Like I'm going to go. Every team that he's brought to the Western Conference Finals has overachieved. And
name
reason.
a player, and I know there are a lot of people that can do it because it's not necessarily a hard question. Name a player on the 2007 Cavaliers.
On 2007?
Yep.
That's a long time ago. I don't know.
They made the finals.
I know, but the East was weak.
The East is weak now, and we're having a legitimate question on who's going to make it. Like, there was not a question in a lot of those years.
In fairness to the players over there, none of them are LeBron James carrying those teams.
Obviously.
If LeBron James was in his prime on any one of those teams, they would make the finals and lose, but they would make the finals.
If LeBron James was on those teams now, they might make the finals. Like,
maybe, but I'm not going to say that because of defense.
Sure.
In his prime, for sure. You put LeBron in his prime on any one of those three Eastern Conference teams, they make the finals. They're not going to win it.
Name the supporting cast in the 2015 NBA Finals of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't know. I mean, Tristan Thompson was probably on that team.
Tristan Thompson is the best player other than LeBron James.
Was Kyrie on that yet?
He was, but he was hurt. He got hurt in the second round. Early. Didn't play.
Anyway.
Kevin Love.
There were other guys on. There was some other guys shoot.
Kevin Love got hurt in the first round.
Yeah, and there was also there was a shooter on that team.
I mean, maybe the most inconsistent shooter in the history of basketball, J.R. Smith, maybe.
No, it was the white guy.
Matthew Dellavedova?
No.
Kyle Korver?
Yes, Kyle Korver.
I don't think he was on the. I think he was on the later teams that made the finals with the Cavs. I don't think he was in there in 2015. He might have been, but either way,
anyway,
my point being, we're naming Tristan Thompson and Matthew Dellavedova, and you want to say he doesn't have the will to win because he ran into the Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs in the finals? Stop.
You're taking this personally. What I am saying.
No, I'm not taking it personally. I'm saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying, like, his will to win was insane. At some point, you run into historic dynasties that are all-time teams, and you lose because your second best player is Tristan Thompson or Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
I need you to be honest with me when I ask you this question. If LeBron James suffers the injury that Ant did, is he in these games?
I will answer it with a pivot in the sense of he doesn't.
No pivot. Yes or no? Is he in these games?
Yes.
Bullshit.
No, not.
Played with that.
How many games has a LeBron James team in the playoffs in his career played without him?
Probably zero.
Yes. Correct.
Because he wasn't injured.
Yeah, my point being, that was going to be my pivot, is that he wouldn't be injured. My other point being is that has he played through injuries in the playoffs? Not as big as that one necessarily, but yes, he has. So my point being, at the end of the day, if push came to shove, if he had that injury today, probably not because he's 41. In his prime, at Anthony Edwards' age, absolutely. If it had happened. But my point being, it didn't happen. That's just part of what makes him different, makes him special, makes him one of the all-time greats, is that it just didn't happen.
He's the Emmitt Smith of the NBA.
Well, he's not the Emmitt Smith of the NBA because Emmitt Smith was probably
Emmitt Smith is the all-time leading rusher and the all-time leading rushing touchdowns.
I'm aware, but we were talking about LeBron James as the second.
I know.
Or best.
We were just talking about his longevity, is what we were talking about.
No. We were talking about LeBron James as the second and or best player of all time. well before he had the scoring record, well before he had the longevity stats to back it up. We've been talking about this since 2020, right? Sometimes even before. My point being, yes, he now has an increased resume because of the longevity, but
I don't know what
and
the
so
hell's
that
happening
part
out there.
kind of adds to the Emmitt Smith. But to act like for most of his career he wasn't playing at a Jerry Rice level is insane. Just like Mike was, right? Like my point being, LeBron is the anomaly where he has the peak to say for a extended period of time, I was the best player in the league, which Emmitt Smith could never say, even at his own position. You would say it was Barry, you would say it was, Walter Payton, you'd say it was whoever, right? You could never say that he was the best player at his own position, whereas LeBron was literally the best player on the planet for a long time, right? And he also has the longevity as well, right? Which Emmett has. So it's kind of the absurdity of both of it. All right. Lastly, I've got a couple more things, but lastly, big important thing. Let's presume the Spurs win this round. I'm going to presume the Cavs win. You can presume the Pistons win or whatever you want to do. Let's
I'm
pick.
picking the Cavs too, but
Okay.
I don't, not because I like it.
Let's pick the NBA Finals matchup.
I mean, I'm picking the Knicks.
I'm going to go Thunder Cavs.
I'm going Thunder Knicks.
I mean,
I
that's fair.
I think the Thunder Spurs. I think first of all, obviously, you have to give it to the Spurs this season. They beat us 4 times, which is crazy to think about
Mm-hmm.
when you only lose 16 games, right?
18, but yeah,
18. Yeah. So I
still
mean,
still basically a fourth.
right. We are on a run right now that no one's ever done. No one's ever gone 8-0 after winning the championship the previous year, and we're here. Um, I think the Spurs youth
I think in 2017, I think the Cavs did.
they went 7-0,
I know they went 7-0, but I'm pretty sure they went into the finals
and it
undefeated.
wasn't the Cavs; it was the Warriors. But
No. It was the Cavs in 2017 because they won the title in 2016, and then in 2017 they started 7-0.
anyway, only 6 teams have even done 7-0 ever.
The Cavs, the Warriors, the Lakers in
Bulls.
2000. The Bulls, I'm sure, did it at some point. I don't know the other
Anyway,
two, but yeah.
not the point. It's a rare thing to occur. No one's done 8-0. No one swept round 1 and 2 after winning the title the previous year.
Okay, I was gonna say it's definitely happened a
Right.
couple times. There have been two
Yeah, but
16
not
and one
after winning
seasons,
the not as reigning champs.
right? Because
Um,
the Warriors in 2017
went 7-0.
went well. The
Before they
Warriors
lost.
in 2017 went 16-1 in the playoffs. They only lost one game to LeBron in the finals, and that was it. The first year of Kevin Durant, but they didn't win the title the year
Yeah,
before.
this is
So
his defending champs.
right,
So
right.
anyway, um, I think with Wemby, he showed a little bit of his youth, obviously with the ejection. I'm not saying he's going to do that again. I do think we can get under his skin. I do think we go 2-0, right? I think we win 10 straight playoffs games, 11 if you go back to last year to the finals, right?
That's
Which is pretty
tough,
crazy.
but yeah, I think so. Probably.
I think we're going to win the 2 home openers. It's going to be a nuts environment, that. Um, uh,
Now, for what
I
it's
kind of
worth,
I'm picking a 6-game series.
in both of our series that went deep last year, and making an assumption that this series goes at least relatively deep, in both of those series we did lose game one. So
Yeah, I don't see that. We're just not that team. We
agreed. I
grew
think
a
we
lot
are a
last
better
year.
team.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even think it's questionable, to be honest. And so I also expect Dub to be back for that
Okay, that
series.
was my next question. Do we expect Dub to play game one, or do
Yeah,
we
I
expect to
expect
push
him
it?
to. I think if we had needed him, he could have come back this series. I
I
think
think that
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 we
is probably true.
knew.
We probably kept him on ice.
Yeah, I think that we did that on purpose. There was no reason to rush him back.
You
We
want to
knew we
talk
could
about
beat the
how like
Lakers.
teams are playing for the now and they're not ever looking to the future, but I think in that scenario we were a little bit,
No, well,
at least from the
we knew we
macro perspective. In
look.
game, obviously not, but from the
I
macro
get our
perspective with
team.
J Dub, I
Yeah,
believe that we were.
yeah, I get our team's attitude is always focus on this game, but from a strategy
From a
perspective,
roster management perspective, you kind of got
Yeah,
to look at the
Dagnall
macro,
knows. Dagnall knew that this series was over before
yeah,
it began.
and
Even if it
Presti as
went
well.
7, we
Like
were going to win it, right? And so there was no reason to rush J Dub back. I think he could have played. I mean, I'm not a physician and I don't have an inside track. Obviously, that's just my gut. I think he will absolutely be ready for game 1 of the next series because we've still got at least 4 or 5 days to go, right? Um, so
game 5 is Friday Game 6 is Friday. If needed, Game 7 is Sunday. I don't think that if it gets closed in 6 on Friday, I
I don't
don't
think it
think
changes
they
the
would.
schedule.
I don't think they would have us play Game 1 on Sunday, but maybe, I guess.
I don't think so.
I would say
They're gonna give the Spurs a couple of days.
I would say that because both series Game 7 is slated to be Sunday, I would presume that they'll have one series start Tuesday, one series start Wednesday, is my
Probably.
assumption.
So I do believe J-Dub will be back.
Which, to answer that
And at
question,
that
means he gets
point,
a week or
is
a week and a day.
I mean, and just think about it. With the depth we already had, and now Mitchell's coming off the bench. I mean, I'm gonna say the series goes 6. I definitely think we go out 2-0. I think we win, 11 straight playoff games, 10 straight this season. I think we probably lose the first game in San Antonio just because they're going to obviously be desperate at that point. I just think we're going to make Wemby's going to have a great defensive series. I'm not worried about his defense. I do think we will make him less efficient, which is the point I was making earlier. We have that capability to do that to guys. We can throw a lot of bodies at him, and that will be our area of focus, obviously. So we will frustrate him. I don't think it turns into a flagrant foul, but we will frustrate him. He will not be as composed as we've seen him most of his career so far. I don't think. I look, but give them credit where credit's due. Now, I will say the last time we played him, we beat him by 20. I think we started to figure things out, right? I think we got real timid about going in those first 4 games. Because of his capabilities, he did change our game, but not necessarily through action. It was more our action. We got a lot more timid in the lane, and we just can't play that way. We've got to play our game. I don't care who they are. I don't care who he is. We have to play our game, right? And so I think those first 4 games, you watched them. That just didn't look like us.
Yeah.
But I think we let him control us without doing anything, and that's a ridiculous way to play. And so I think we learned that lesson in that last game. We beat them by 20. To be clear, I don't think we're beating them by 20 in any of these games. I think they're all going to be tight, right? I don't expect blowouts. Who knows? I could be wrong. I expect this to be a really good series. I think it's still 6. I don't think it goes 7. But I do expect it to be close to where or even though it won't go 7, I think it's going to be a great series. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a great series all the way around. I'm excited for it.
I think this is a rivalry for the next decade. That's what I think.
I am nervous about it. I don't think we're going to lose. The capability is still there, though. I will say, and as you've already started to say a little bit, like Wemby is that dude. What I've said all year, and I've said several times on this podcast, the one question just becomes, what if? What if Victor Wembanyama is just the best player on the planet in this playoffs? And the legends will be made or not made in this next round. We'll see it. If they win this series, it's going to be
not fair to him.
No. Not made, right? Like if they lose, it's not like, oh, his whatever. He's in his 3rd season, right?
Okay.
No.
Thank you for clarifying.
What I'm saying is, in a general sense, this deep into the playoffs is where legends are made and or not made. Not that his legend is made or completely tarnished.
But keep in mind,
career. What I'm saying is,
it doesn't have to be made in your first season.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but it could. And I'm not saying it will.
Did.
I'm not saying it will, but what if? He is that talent, and I'm not saying it will portray because we're still at this point the better team, but they are also a very deep team. They're the 2nd deepest team in the league. So my point being,
it's a bunch of people across the street like protesting or something.
Interesting.
I don't know what they're doing.
I
can't read their signs from here. I have to go check it out after I'm done.
My point being has always been the what if. And what if? Like, I don't expect it, but that is why I'm nervous.
It's
like, what if he's just the best player in the league, in the round?
It's not even a conversation I want to talk about. I'm tired of some of these arbitrary conversations. Let's let it play out. Let's see what happens.
Agreed. No, I mean, I agree.
He could be terrible. He could be terrible in this series and still be an all-time great before it's over.
No, absolutely.
It doesn't actually matter. If he does it, will it be a legendary, unprecedented run? Yes. Does that mean he's a Hall of Fame player? Not yet.
I mean, if he gets it done like that, and he's already got a DPOY, a ring, a Finals MVP,
but it doesn't mean he's ever going to do it again.
First team.
My
point. But would he be a Hall of Famer? He'd be getting dangerously close. Is kind of my point.
but he's played a year and a half.
He's played. I
Let's
mean, in
let's pump
total
the brakes.
games, sure, he's been in the league for 3 years, but
Let's pump the brakes.
sure, fair enough. But here's what I will say. Okay, so
Because he could turn into Embiid in 2 years from now.
I've got a couple like theoretical things I want to mention
Okay, quickly.
before we get off. The first thing I want to say is I did see somebody say this, and I know you've already kind of talked about it a couple times, alluding to us being a rivalry for a long time, alluding to when I talked about the value of rings in today's day and age with parity, you being like, well, I think that's kind of going away. I did see somebody say recently, like, what if parity in the league currently is just gone because it's all the Thunder and the Spurs, and maybe we could see in some combination the next like 5 or 6 titles all be in Oklahoma City or San Antonio, or at least like 5 of the 6. Like
It's possible.
it's possible, and like every year they only lose to each other in the playoffs. Like they match up, and then whichever team wins it goes on and wins.
This could be not that it wasn't a little lopsided, but this could be Brady Manning in the playoffs.
It could be. Like
I mean, it was a little lopsided, but
anytime that Peyton, obviously they lost twice in the Super Bowl, but other than that, anytime Peyton beat Tom in the playoffs, they were going to go to the Super Bowl, and he won 2 of them. So,
right.
I mean, yeah, for sure. It's definitely possible.
They're both really young. Both teams are young, right? Both teams are deep, although we're way deeper. Both teams are great organizations. Both teams have we have the best GM in professional sports, but both GMs are their GM's great. The way they rebuilt this team that quickly,
lottery luck helps a lot, obviously.
Of course it does.
They wouldn't be doing this without Victor
But
Wembanyama,
it's not
for
just
sure.
about luck, right? You got to draft other guys.
Yeah,
you got to bring in the
for
right
sure.
Fox. The Fox trade was big, right? You got to bring in the right guys for
Harrison
your
Barnes,
organization.
Golden Johnson, Devin Vassell, all these guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just look at all of that and I'm like, obviously the Spurs traditionally, over the last 2 decades or more have been one of the best run organizations in professional sports.
Yeah.
Right up there with the Patriots. So I look at it that way. We're there. Like I said, I believe we have the best GM in professional sports. And I would argue it's not close, right? Because it's not like in baseball. You could argue there's some good guys. Yeah, but there's no salary cap and you don't have to work any numbers.
And on top of
like
that, before last season, everyone was talking about it in the theoretical sense. They're like, yeah, we're talking about how great Sam Presti is, and he already was. But there were still some skeptics being like, okay, but what have they done with it? Well, now they've got the ring, and they're probably going to get a second. So now it's done.
What has he done? I'm going to take Shea out of it first. He has drafted 3 MVPs in the last 18 years.
Also, in the last 18...
And traded for one and got a haul.
In the last 18 years, right? In the last 18 years, since the Thunder have been in Oklahoma City, how many conference finals appearances have they made?
God, what Durant and Westbrook went to 3 or 4?
That's the question I'm asking you.
I think it's 3, 4? 4.
4 total?
Made the finals for 1 year. I think 4 total.
Counting this year?
For that team. No, for that team.
Oh, for that team. Okay.
Then last year, so obviously we're already there. So I'd say 6.
That's the correct answer. It's 6. 6 of 18.
Okay.
A third. A third?
Well,
and you were a team that the year before you came picked number 2 overall and got Russell Westbrook. And the year that you came, or it got Kevin Durant. And the year that you came, picked number 3 overall and got Russell Westbrook. Like, this was not a good team when they came in, right? Obviously, they drafted well, Sam Presti being a big piece of that, right? They drafted well, they got the guys, but this was not a good team when they came in. And of the 18 years they've been there, 6 of them, they've made an appearance in the conference finals. At least 2, if not 3 after this year, they've made the finals. And at least 1, if not 2 after this year, they've won a ring. Like,
and again,
and Sam Presti's been at the helm the whole time.
This can't be understated. There's a couple of things that first I'm going to go back to the MVP thing. He's drafted 3 future MVPs. 2 of them got it with us. 1, obviously, with Houston, with James. Then, of course, you trade Paul George and a shit ton of picks for a guy that became an MVP, 3 years later? 4 years later?
After the trade, 5, but...
Okay. So, point being, that's 1.
6, technically, because it was in 2019.
Then take it a step further, and you look at how deep this current roster is, and just think about all the players that are contributors on other teams right now that were at one point with us or drafted by us. Schroeder's still playing great. You've got Reggie Jackson was out there for a long time, right? You got Sabonis with the Kings. You've got guys all over the league that also have ties to Oklahoma City. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job in his career.
The biggest problem he has is, who do I keep on this roster?
That is a problem. It is absolutely a problem, which is obviously a very good problem to have, but it can also get tough to manage. But if there's
a
anybody
couple
I
of
trust to do
predictions,
it, it's Hinch.
regardless of what happens this year, and I think we're going to win it. But I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road, at least to get there. I don't know that it's a tough road once we're there, but neither here nor there. I don't necessarily like this. I just think it's true. I think this is our last ride with Dort. I think he will get traded in the offseason. I think that will happen. We're not going to let him walk, and we're not going to pay him again when we got guys like Wallace behind him, who isn't as good a defender, but he's great. And he's a way better offensive player. And so you have him, and you got Wiggins, who doesn't even get much time right now, and you've got Mitchell and McCain. We can manage the lineup without him. So it's a sad day. He's the most tenured Thunder player we have right now, and I obviously have always respected his
Shea are
defense.
tied, but yeah.
I've always respected his defense, and when he gets hot offensively, which he did in Game 4, he had some big threes in that game, but a lot of times offensively, he's sort of a liability, right? He's just a placeholder, and especially in these series where you have guys doubling Shea, you need a guy that can always knock it down. So I don't see him, and it's not a knock on him. I just think his contract's going to be up. We're not going to pay him that big deal again. I do think he ends up somewhere else. And Sam Presti learned with the Durant thing, I don't let players walk, right? So he's going to get value for Dort. So I do think Dort's gone. Obviously, we have the 12th pick in the draft this year. What we get there, who knows? I
We
trust
also have
Presti.
17.
Yeah. So you got to make some roster moves
We probably don't pick with both of those, is my assumption, but we'll probably
not.
move
I don't
at
even
least
know
one,
that
if
we use
not
the
both.
12th, to be honest.
It's possible.
We might get more draft capital in the future, because what are you going to draft? I do think at some point we probably have to get that, Hartenstein's replacement. I don't think we ever sign him to a second deal.
No,
I love Hart, and I love him on our
but that's
team.
what we did last year, and I
just
know
don't see it.
I know that this is a conversation that we haven't had a ton, just because you don't know anything about him because he hasn't played whatever in college, whatever. We drafted Thomas Sorber last year, and that's a center out of Georgetown. He's going to be pretty good. He was supposed to eventually transition into being the Hartenstein replacement, but he tore his ACL and hasn't played. So theoretically, it's already there. You know what I mean? So that's even the thing. It's we're talking about guys that don't even play basketball, right? Like Nikola Topic could still be a great basketball player. We don't know.
He's shown flashes even in the limited minutes he's had.
Jared McCain could probably go to a different team right now and be Austin Reeves.
Oh, he'd be better than that.
I mean, Austin Reeves offensively is a really, really good basketball player, so I don't want to discredit him.
McCain or Mitchell plays some defense too. So
I was talking about McCain. I didn't say AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell. Seriously, people have been talking about this the last couple of days online.
He'd be a starter on almost every team in the league.
Well, he'd be a starter on every team in the league. AJ Mitchell could go on the Jalen Brunson arc, right, where he was behind Luka and had a really good playoff run, and then end up leaving, go to the Knicks. Now he's an All-NBA player. He's not going to leave.
His salary, we don't get rid of him that quick.
No. We won't get rid of him on this contract, obviously. But what I'm saying is that after that's up and we can't pay him, there's a chance he goes somewhere else and he literally becomes an All-NBA player. He's that good.
Well, let me give you kind of a alternate timeline, and I hope this isn't true.
This is one of my theoretical questions I was going to ask if you're about to ask the same thing. This was the next thing I wanted to transition to.
If J-Dub continues to have an injury-prone year or two, then you sign Mitchell and let Dub go.
Yeah. No,
I hope that's not true.
That was going to be my next thing.
I hope that's not true, because I love J-Dub.
There's also a potential. There is also a potential. Hear me out. There is also a potential. It doesn't even matter about injury. There is a possibility that we get to the end of the road of AJ's contract, where he's making $3 million a year, and we have to either let him go or make cap space for him, even if Dub isn't hurt and plays really well, there is a potential we just choose AJ Mitchell because he's been that good.
Yeah, I
Like,
just really like Dub. Like
no, obviously,
to
for sure.
me, to me, there are 3 guys on the roster. 1 is not touchable. 2 of them I don't want to touch them because I love them. The one you can't touch is Shea. You could argue Chet. Okay. Obviously, we paid him. We think that. Same with Dub.
I think Chet has more value than Dub currently because his contract is slightly less and because he's got because we've got a bunch of elite defensive wings, and obviously Dub is one of them, but he is the defensive anchor, and so he has more value on defense than anybody else does.
Yeah, I'm not arguing
So I think that all around, Chet has more valuable to the roster than Dub does, so he is number 2, and he is more untouchable than Dub is for sure. And on top of that, whenever he hits his offensive peak, we unlock even a new level that even Dub can't get us to offensively. And he hasn't hit that necessarily a ton, but he was an all-star this year. He's probably going to be an all-NBA player, and part of that is his offense as well. So
anyway, there are 2 players that I don't want to go anywhere because they are just the heart and soul of the team, and to me, they epitomize everything that this team is, and that's Jay Will and Caruso.
Oh yeah, for sure. Jay
Those
Will's
are guys
going to
you
get
never want to see leave.
Jay Will's going to get
look
paid.
at it like this. I look at it like this. Okay, and this is just take it for what it is. Presti does have a little sentimental in him.
A little bit. He definitely does.
He kept Collison forever because of what he meant to the team.
Now, in fairness, you can pay Collison
Jay
a veteran
Will's
minimum.
a much more talented Collison.
Jay Will
way more talented.
Jay Will could go get 18 mil on the open market right now.
100%. Yeah, he's a way better player than
we can't pay him that.
I don't know that he'll need it. We'll see.
No. For sure. What I'm saying is there is zero chance in like 3 years that Jay Will is on this roster. Like none. Because
but there is if he takes home time discount. I don't know if he will.
I don't know that he will. I mean,
if I were him, I wouldn't. If I were him, I would.
He was a second round pick. It's not like he's making stupid money right now. Like obviously he's making stupid money for the average person, but like he could go get 18 a year, right?
I understand that.
Nick Collison was never in that situation, obviously.
I understand that. And if I were him, I'd go get the money.
Sure.
Especially by then if you have 2 or 3 rings, right? I'm definitely going to get the money.
And then you can maybe be a starter or like a high level bench player. Right now he plays in like every third game.
I wouldn't blame him at all.
No, yeah.
I'm not sure he'd do it. I don't know.
He's a different kind of guy. It's a different conversation with AJ Mitchell because AJ Mitchell is like a crucial key piece, whereas Jay Will is like a good depth guy for us that sometimes has massive games, but like at the end of the day, when
he gets minutes, he has massive games.
No, for sure. But what I'm saying is with AJ Mitchell, we can actually sit here and have a conversation and make an argument between him or Dub. You're not making that with Jay Will and anybody else. You know what I mean? So Jay Will is a guy that we will let walk eventually because he will get that money. Yeah, or maybe we trade him for something before he gets paid or whatever, but he will get paid. So he's not going to be a long-term guy.
I wouldn't blame him at all for going.
For what it's worth, if Dub is on this roster, at some point AJ Mitchell will not be. The question then just becomes which one do we pick, right? So like we don't.
If J Dub ends up being actual J Dub for the next 3 years, you keep Dub.
No, and I agree to that statement most likely, but I do think that now this gives us a conversation, especially if, like what you said, if the injury route continues to play out, then you can trade him, and yes, his value will diminish a little bit at that point, but he's still an All-NBA player, right?
This is what makes the Thunder different. We're legitimately taking the second best player on the best team in the league for 3 straight years, by the way,
and questioning his value.
And not questioning his value. But we're so deep, there's a guy on there we're like, maybe.
Right.
How nuts is that?
Yeah.
He's not a starter on this team. I mean, Mitchell, he is right now because Dub's out, but
he whenever Dub plays, he's only not because their role is too similar. I would say that talent-wise, he is definitely one of the 5 best players on this team. Like talent-wise, I'd say he's like
you're missing my point.
3 or 4.
My point is
3
we have
if
a
Dub's
bench
not
guy.
playing, 4 if he is.
We have a bench guy that would start on 31 other teams.
Well, there's only 30 teams, so that's impressive.
Well,
but
anyway, you know what I'm saying.
29.
Right. You know
31 2 years from now. But
anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking NFL. You got me back in the
Hey, we're about to get to 32 2 years from now. So.
Yep. All right.
So that also you brought up my other theoretical question.
Over time, so
yeah, which was Dub. My last theoretical question What are the chances that we just saw LeBron James play his last game of professional basketball?
0%.
I
As a
agree.
Laker or in the NBA?
Basketball.
0%.
I agree. What are the
His son's
chances?
eligible for the draft this year. He's not leaving.
Well, he's not going to get drafted. He didn't play last year in college. He's not eligible. But he redshirted. But it'll be at least another
Zero
year
percent
after
chance.
that. Agreed.
0% chance.
Agreed. So now that you
Trust
brought
me.
it up,
When
what
he's going to retire, we're
we'll
going to
know.
know in advance because he's going to want the pomp and circumstance and all that comes with it every
And
time he plays the game.
for what it's worth, as he deserves. So, I mean, he does. If Kobe deserved it, he does for
Anyway,
sure.
he won't ride out quietly on a little horse.
No.
He will announce before the season that it's going to be his last so that he can ride that rodeo. And if he loves it enough, he'll say, you know what? I decide I'll come back and do it one more time.
And I could
and
see
then we'll
that.
do it all again.
And I could
No,
see
he's
that.
not done. I think he has 2 to 3 years left.
Agreed. Which 2 to 3 when
Not
he's
at
41
producing
is
it-
absurd.
Not at producing at a high level. He'll be a bench player quickly. But
I mean, he's still not a bench player now.
how many games did he play this year?
I mean, he still played like 60.
And he only played one side of the ball?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that only play one side of the ball. You know what I mean?
If he's going to be on a contender, he will not be a starter after next year.
That's possible.
If he's on a contending team, there's no way.
So
He
I
can't
guess
play those minutes
next
anymore.
theoretical question: what are the chances that he's played his last game as a Laker?
I think it's high.
Really?
Yeah, because if the Lakers are truly going to try to build around Luka, LeBron can't be part of that. Let me give you 2 reasons.
Kind of agree.
2 reasons. First reason is you better build a damn defensive team around Luka.
Absolutely.
And he can't do that for long periods of time anymore. We saw it in game 1 and game 2 of the Houston series, but it died after that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I gave him credit for it. So first, if you truly want to win and Luka's the guy you're going to build around, you better get defenders in there. Right? That's the first reason. The second reason is and this is the reason, because remember, the Lakers looked really hot early in the year with just Reeves and Luka. When LeBron came back in, it definitely hurt things for a while. I'm not saying they didn't figure it out.
Well, and then they went on an even hotter run in March with Luka and LeBron.
But the problem is you have 3 ball-dominant guys out there at the same time.
Agreed.
And it just doesn't work.
Agreed.
It's ISO ball pass, ISO ball pass, ISO ball.
Now, for what it's worth,
ugly,
statistically, their offense was still really good, but
yeah, but they got lots of freaking free throws. So
sure,
that's actually a fact. Because there was at one point midway through the season where you had Luke at the top, Austin was like 3 or 4, and LeBron was like 5 or 6, right? So that's right. They were number 2 in free throws, right? So because it was all 3 of those guys. So 2 reasons. First, defense. He doesn't play a role in that. You better put a defensive team like the Mavericks did around him, or you're never going to win when it matters. 2, you need role play offensive players around Luka, and that's not what LeBron is. And frankly, in some ways, that's not what Austin is. If Austin's on that roster, I think he's comes off the bench potentially.
No, I think that if the rest of the team is defensive oriented, I think that he can play a Kyrie role to Luka, right? Like that.
Sure.
That.
So
is,
my
think
point
Austin
being,
can
I
be
don't think he's a Laker if the Lakers are serious about winning. If they don't care and it's still just about the butts and seats, which is also fine, then maybe so.
So I
think the only way they would keep him is he's not going to be able to get the max.
Here's what I'll say. He's
not worth that now. He's just not.
I somewhat agree with most of what you said. Now, the biggest thing I would say is that the Lakers aren't worried about butts and seats. They're the Los Angeles Lakers in Los Angeles, filling an 18,000 seat arena. They're gonna fill it. That's not a problem, right?
I understand.
They're not worried about that. And
which is why I don't think
and they still have the name in Luka Doncic, even if they don't have LeBron, right? So
yeah, no, Luka puts butts in seats too. I got it.
The question then becomes kind of what you were saying: how serious are they about winning? Here is my real question on whether or not LeBron James is a Laker next year. Is there any world where you're going to be the team that if LeBron James says, and I get the basketball reasons why you might say it, especially with your best player being who he is there any world where if you're a team that LeBron James says, yeah, I want to play for you, where you say, no?
Of course. Are you
Again,
serious or
the
not?
basketball reason behind it, sure. But I'm saying, when it actually plays out, is there any world where they actually do that? And I don't know. I don't know. And
I
again,
mean, when you're talking about a team serious about winning,
it
think
does
about
go
the
back to that
Patriots
question.
here.
Absolutely.
Think about the Patriots here. They did it when Tom Brady was still playing at the top of his game.
Agreed.
LeBron is not.
Agreed.
So
Now, for what it's
yeah,
worth,
if they're
they made the
serious about
wrong
winning,
decision on Tom Brady, but
well, that's fair.
that's
But
not the case with LeBron. I
but
get
it's
that.
not the case with LeBron. He
I
is
get that.
declining.
I
So
get that.
if you're the Lakers and you're trying to be a serious franchise,
Yeah.
then no, he's not on the roster next year.
Agreed.
Whether even if he says I
I
want to
do
come
agree
back,
with you. I do agree with you.
unless he takes a massive hometown discount.
Which, for what it's worth, and Dwayne Wade was talking about this the other day on Prime on the broadcast. They were asking him, because obviously he played with LeBron for 4 years, so and he's one of LeBron's really good friends even outside of that. So
Yeah,
whatever.
of course.
He was like, I have no idea. This is LeBron's decision. He's going to make the best decision for LeBron and the best decision for the James family. He's like, that's obviously his top priority. And he was like, I don't know, right? I do talk to LeBron. He's like, but I don't know. He was like, and they were talking about that. They're like, so what are we, the odds we see like a hometown discount kind of a thing? And he was like, well, if you look at the history of LeBron James,
he doesn't.
Discounted contract is not something in his nature. And he was like, and for what it's worth, fair. You've earned the right to make the money that you make, right?
Look,
but
I'll say this, which is fine. He's a billionaire, though, so
right.
whatever.
Sure.
But
it's not like Mike ever took a discount either, and nor should he have to, because he's Michael Jordan.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. I'm
go
not
get your bag.
For getting what he can get.
Yeah, go get your bag.
But I'm talking about it from the perspective of the Lakers organization. If he wants 50, 60 million a year, absolutely not.
I would agree with you.
If he'll take 20, oh, maybe. I'm not going higher than 20.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't blame you. And then the question becomes, if you're LeBron, balancing it as we start to see free agency, like, what contenders are willing to pay you? Like, if a contender is like, I'll pay you 15 to 20, maybe even 25, sure. Or if, say, the Charlotte Hornets, who had a really good end of the year but still aren't a contender, right? Or maybe
team, but yeah,
sure, that's what I'm saying. Or even like a team that's not that good, say the Sacramento Kings or whoever, right? Are like, sure, we'll give you 60 because it's getting LeBron James in the building, butts in seats. They are teams that actually have problems with that, right? Like, we'll pay you 60. Then if you're LeBron,
you want me to give you a very intriguing.
Well, but then the question becomes, if you're LeBron, what are you at that point juggling? Like, are you juggling the 15 to 20 from a contender, or are you okay with rotting away on a team that's bad because you're going to get 60? And neither of those really seem like a good, like, LeBron James thing. Like, I think if that's the two scenarios, he probably just retires, low key. However,
what if you go sign? What if you go sign a team-friendly deal with, say, the Celtics?
I think there are. I don't necessarily think the Celtics particularly,
or the
necessarily. I think there is probably some middle ground. I don't know what team it is. Maybe it's the Pistons, or maybe it's whoever, a team that has a little bit more money, but is also good. I think there is a middle ground where there is some contender-ish level team that pays them 35 to 40. And I think that's where we end up with the middle ground. Maybe the Pistons, because they've got some money, because they don't have any real contracts right now other than Cade. And Jalen Duren is actively losing value in this playoffs right now. Or maybe say like the Heat, who have some money, or, like a team like that might pay him 35 to 40, and then you're contender-ish, contender adjacent.
Anyway, that's my take on it. No, he's not a Laker unless he takes a massive, and I'm talking a $40 million discount. If I'm a Laker, if I'm the Lakers organization and I'm signing like a 2-year deal worth 40, okay.
Here's what I know about LeBron James. He is most likely not playing for $15 million a year. And he's definitely not playing for the Sacramento Kings, right? Like, that's not happening. So
he's not going to play for a terrible basketball
That's what
team.
I'm saying. Like, because those teams might give him 60, right? But he's not playing for them. I think it is much more likely he ends up playing for 15 for a contender than 60 for a team that's bad. But I don't necessarily think either. I think there will be a middle ground somewhere where some team that is solid gives him 35 to 40, and then we'll see. But
I think there's a world where there's a team out there will give him 60 that's even decent.
It's just hard. There's teams that
it's just a bad decision.
Sure.
Like, I could see Philly going out there and giving him 60.
No, they definitely don't have the money. I mean, Paul George is still making stupid money. Embiid's making stupid money, and then you got to pay Maxey. All right, maybe they already did, but either way,
I think they
stupid
did
money.
pay Maxey.
Yeah, I think they
Anyway,
did.
I could see a team that I feel like isn't run well. I could see them doing it.
That's fair. The only
Even
way
if
they
they're
could do that, though,
decent.
is if they can get off of Paul George, which is difficult.
Well, you got to trade him, which means you got to trade the salaries. So you're
No,
still
again,
not getting rid of the salary.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess in that scenario, theoretical sign and trade with the Lakers or whatever. But I get my point is like that's not going to happen.
Cleveland's
But
up by 2.
that's what I'm saying. So like, here we go. Obviously, it's all about Game 5. You got to have the comeback. You got to win Game 5. If you win Game 5, you go win
James is
Game
at the
6.
line. You just put them up by 3.
So I'm saying,
a
like,
3.
it's so tough to call. But I was
Cleveland is the better team in my opinion.
agreed,
But
top to bottom for sure. I think that there's an argument that
James
Cade's
is
the
having
best.
a great night.
Yeah,
He has 25. He's 7 for 7 from the line. 8 for 8.
I think that there is an argument, right? It's close between him and Donovan Mitchell. I think there is an argument that all around Cade is the best player in the series. But they're definitely not the better team.
I'm not going to put him over Mitchell yet.
It's close. I mean, he's a better defender.
He's still young.
He's a better defender, and they're relatively close in playmaking, but he is a better playmaker. Mitchell is the better scorer.
That's not a question.
Right. But it gets close. My point is it's close. I'm not necessarily saying he's over Cade, and obviously, or he's over Dono, right? And obviously, Donovan Mitchell has the longer, better body of work, but it's a conversation on who the best player in the series is. To me, in my mind, on paper, there's not a question who the better team is. Right. So, anyways, all right. That's all we got. We got a really good episode in there for you. And we went long. Had some good conversation there. We're really ready for the NFL to come back. For sure. Let's get there. We're also ready to see the Thunder loist the Larry O'Brien again. Loist. Whoa. Hoist.
Making up words now. Now we have 3 followers.
Hoist to the Larry O'Brien
what the
again.
Hell's
Well, and now that I just proclaimed that we're ready to see the team win another title, we gained even fewer followers. Now we're down to 1, because they don't want to see.
Is that Emily?
I don't think she watches, low key.
Right.
But now we're down to like 1 or 2. Because they're like, oh, screw the Thunder. We don't, or no, those people are already Thunder fans, so they like us still. But we're not increasing our circle. So
fair enough.
All right, that's all we got. We'll be back next week, hopefully regular time. Wednesday. We'll see how it goes though. All right, like, comment, subscribe, give us all the love. We'll see you next week. Peace.
At Jim Beef. Peace.